Welcome back. 1 in 5 Ebola patients develop serious eye problems after beating the disease. Now, it's just one of a number of issues doctors have become aware of following the West Africa outbreak in 2014. Hundreds have died in the latest outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo.
They've survived one of the world's most deadly diseases, but these Ebola patients aren't in the clear yet. They still face multiple health problems, including the risk of blindness. Here in Beni, the centre of the current Ebola outbreak in Democratic Republic of Congo, the World Health Organization is trying to save people's sight before it's too late.
We try to help with vision, we try to help with any pain, and also preventive medicine is also a major consideration. So it's important for us to also reassure them that their eyes are doing well, but it's also important to discuss with them the warning signs of eye inflammation.
About 20% of Ebola survivors develop problems with their vision. The infection causes eye inflammation, which leads to blurring. Centrine was released from a treatment centre last year.
I could see they were there to provide treatment. They lit up my eye. I was not scared. I understood they were taking care of my eyes.
Many of the after effects of Ebola were only really discovered during the West Africa outbreak in 2014. Local doctors in Congo are now being trained to use ultrasounds and specialised ophthalmoscopes to test for eye problems. These Ebola patients may have survived, but treatment isn't a one-off event. They still need checkups every single month.
It was on the nights of the 13th and the 14th of April in 2014 when 267 girls were kidnapped by Boko Haram from a school in Nigeria. Now, filmmaker Joel Kachi Benson has released a virtual reality documentary on the life of a woman whose daughter was one of those pupils.
When they told me that my daughter, Rifkatu, was among the girls that were kidnapped from the school, I could not believe it.
It's been 5 years since over 200 schoolgirls were kidnapped from the Nigerian town of Chibok. But these people are only getting a true sense of the impact of the tragedy now with this new 360 virtual reality documentary. Produced by filmmaker Joel Kachi Benson, the 11-minute video titled Daughters of Chibok takes viewers into the world of Yana Galang, a farmer whose daughter was one of the 276 schoolgirls kidnapped by Boko Haram in April of 2014.
The Chibok story is a very important story. It's a global story, and it's a story that doesn't have closure yet. It doesn't have an ending yet. You know, there's still 112 girls missing. So from a story perspective, I found that interesting. I wanted to explore it.
The documentary, which was shot in February, took 2 weeks to make on a budget of around $11,000 US. Joel, who started experimenting with virtual reality last year, said he wanted viewers to become enveloped in the world of the subject. Some spectators couldn't hold back their emotions.
I'm living the pain of those women. As a mother, I feel their pain. I know exactly what it is to go through this kind of thing. So it's not a good experience, although I enjoyed watching it, but it's not an experience that anybody would want to go through.
Boko Haram has killed more than 20,000 people and forced around 2 million to flee since it began an insurgency in northeast Nigeria a decade ago. There are still 100 Chibok girls unaccounted for.
African and European farmers held a demonstration in Brussels on Wednesday. They're calling on the EU to regulate the milk trade between the two regions.
The milk trade is leaving a sour taste in the mouths of these African and European farmers. Protesting in Brussels, they called on the EU to start regulating so-called milk dumping to Africa. Because prices for milk in Europe are so low, farmers have begun exporting and undercutting local African businesses. And often it's lower quality.
We've had enough of seeing this exploitation by manufacturers through European exporters who bring milk to our country. But this milk is not the same as that used in Europe. This milk has been made richer with palm oil.
Milk fats are often turned into butter, which is valuable and sold by European farmers. but there's low demand for the remaining skimmed milk, which is turned into powder. Exports to Africa have grown by a quarter since 2016, according to the protest organisers, putting local jobs at risk, and it could come back to affect the EU.
It's important because we have more than 40 million of people in West Africa who are living from milk production and livestock. So when you destroy their livelihood, they have no choice to migrate in Europe or abroad.
Farmers on both sides of the Mediterranean are calling for better support, better prices in Europe and less dumping to Africa.
The fight against malaria got a boost as former England football captain David Beckham lent his voice to the cause. He's helped launch a global appeal on Tuesday to end the disease.
Malaria isn't just any disease. It's the deadliest disease there's ever been.
David Beckham appears in a malaria campaign video. But hang on.
وما زالت تقتل طفلا كل دقيقتين.
Mais nous pouvons y mettre fin. Nous savons comment, nous en avons la possibilité.
This can't be real.
我们需要让世界领导人关注。
Hivyo tunazindua kampeni ya sauti.
In fact, it's a deep fake video.
Speak up and say, malaria must die. One voice can be powerful, but all of our voices together, then they will have to listen. Malaria must die, so millions can live.
The former England captain has borrowed a few voices with the help of the emerging video fabrication technology.
وما زالت تقتل طفلا كل دقيقتين.
Some of the voices are malaria survivors and doctors.
Having had the disease myself growing up, as a child in Nigeria, I know what it feels like, but I never thought about how important it is until I became a doctor. Seeing children die from malaria is something you never get away from.
Malaria No More UK, the charity behind the video, is asking people to sign an audio petition by recording themselves saying malaria must die on their website.
Anything like this, you want people to sit up, to listen, and then to take action, you know, to sign the petition, to go out there and be a voice.
The Thomson Reuters Foundation reported on Tuesday that World Health Organization figures show malaria kills roughly 435,000 people a year, with children aged under 5 making up 61% of deaths. The organisation's latest World Malaria Report warned that the global response had stalled, despite a United Nations global goal to end the disease by 2030.
More in just a moment. Stay with us.